Hey guys, it's Tessa from HandleTheHeat.com, where I love to share sweet treats with a sprinkling of science, and today I'm showing you how to freeze buttermilk. Now, I've done a ton of side-by-side experiments on buttermilk and the various substitutions, and what I found is that nothing compares to the real thing. The taste, the texture that buttermilk provides is unparalleled. Now, you can see all of these side-by-side comparisons over at HandleTheHeat.com. It's just my Buttermilk 101 post. I'll go ahead and link to that below as well. But I know it can be hard to always have buttermilk on hand, and the last thing anyone wants to do is go all the way back to the grocery store just to use half a cup of buttermilk for a recipe. So today I'm showing you how to freeze buttermilk so that you never have leftover buttermilk that you don't know what to do with before it expires, and so that you always have buttermilk on hand in your freezer ready to defrost to be used in any recipe. So let's go ahead and get started. So there's two different ways that you can freeze buttermilk, and the first one, you probably have everything you need on hand. We're just going to be freezing it in plastic bags. Now, there are a couple tricks here. The first trick is that you want to use a specified measurement of buttermilk in your bag. So I'm going to be pouring half a cup of buttermilk into my plastic bag and labeling it that way. So what I like to do is put what's in the bag, which is buttermilk, and I'm going to write today's date. And then what I'm going to do is just open up the bag and pour the buttermilk right on in. So once the bag is sealed, the next trick is to actually lay it down on a completely flat surface. I like to get any additional air out this way. And then you can do this for all the buttermilk you have. You just want to be sure that you're placing all of your baggies on a completely flat surface. Then this goes in the freezer until the buttermilk is completely frozen solid. So once it's completely solid, what you're left with is this flat little kind of tray of buttermilk, which is super easy to store. You can slide it in wherever it's convenient in your freezer. You can have as many of these as you want. Now, the next way to freeze buttermilk is actually with an ice cube tray. So with the ice cube tray method, you really want to make sure that you pour out a specific amount of buttermilk into a measuring cup, so that way you can kind of figure out how much each cube of buttermilk will actually contain. So I'm going to just pour the buttermilk into my ice cube tray, and then that will go into the freezer until they're solid. Once the buttermilk is completely solid, they can be popped out of the ice cube tray. You might have to flex the tray a little bit, slam it against your counter a little bit to get those cubes to pop on out, but then you can just move them to a Ziploc bag. Again, date and label what's inside the bag, and then that can go in the freezer, and then you have small amounts of buttermilk that you can use whenever the recipe requires it. All right, so once your buttermilk is frozen, you need to thaw it before you can use it in your recipe. So the way I like to thaw it is either let it sit at room temperature until it's liquid again, or what you can do, since these are both in sealed bags now, is you can place your frozen buttermilk in its sealed bag in a tray of warm water, and it will thaw a little bit faster that way. It'll take about 20 minutes to come to liquid room temperature that way. Now, once your buttermilk has thawed, you may notice that it's separated a little bit. That's totally fine. All you need to do is whisk it to kind of bring it back together into a homogeneous liquid consistency before you use it in your recipe. All right, so that's how easy it is to freeze buttermilk so that you never have any wasted leftovers, and you always have buttermilk ready to go on hand for any recipe that calls for it. If you found this video helpful, then be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.